It's coming. All right. Hello, everyone. Oh wait, it's still going. This is always awkward for me. There we go. Okay. It's coming. All right. Hello, everyone. Back.
Oh wait.
So this is Shayla with Resplendence, and I'm sorry, I had a backlog. Sorry about that. And we're doing kind of our summer sizzling free language exercise today with both Swahili and Twi. So this should be really, really exciting and really, really fun. Who I have with me today is our education director, Okrao Pang, and also our assistant education director, Veronica Musaya. So they will both have their opportunity to talk about themselves and also the languages that they teach under the umbrella of Resplendence Language Arts. So without further ado, Professor Okra, Education Director, go ahead and say who you are, and then we'll talk to Veronica, and then we'll have Veronica start, and then you'll follow up with Veronica.
Yeah. Hello, thank you very much for this opportunity and welcome to Resplendence Language Arts. So my name is Okra Opon and I'm the Education Director for this program. So I am the lead teacher for Twi. So I teach Twi in the Resplendence Language Arts. So we've done some of the courses we are into it, and today we have the opportunity to also tell you what we do. So we'll be talking about myself. I'll be doing an intermediate class in Twi, and so yeah, so basically that's what I do. I take care of the Twi, and Twi is spoken in Ghana. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica Mutisia. I am a Swahili teacher. I teach Swahili, and Swahili is a language spoken in the eastern part of Africa, so many countries. And this is what I'm going to be teaching. Currently, we're doing beginner classes, and now this is intermediate Swahili class. We are showing you now what we do. So you're very much welcome, and I'll be handling something in Swahili as we begin. Sheila, can I? Yeah, so today we'll be talking about negation in Swahili using tenses. Negation in Swahili using tenses. How we negate Swahili statements. And this is going to be based on the Swahili tenses that we have. We have several Swahili tenses, but today I'll major on the present tense, that is wakati uliopo. And then I will also be talking about negation in the future tense and also negation in the past tense. So to start off, I'll be talking about negating with the present tense. And the present tense marker in Swahili is the prefix na. As you can see on my screen, na, I've highlighted it in red, meaning that something can be fixed before or after the na. That is what marks a verb as in present tense. And in first person, when you're making a statement in the present tense, you start with the prefix ni. So when we are negating in Swahili, this ni will change to si. So, for example, if I'll give you one word like ninasoma. Ninasoma is saying I am reading. It's a one sentence, one word sentence in Swahili. So ninasoma meaning I am reading. Ni is the personal pronoun for first person. So ni, na. The na is the present tense marker showing that the action is taking place now. Ni nasoma. Now when we want to negate, this ni at the start, at the beginning of the sentence of the verb changes to si. Si. So it will be sisomi. Sisomi. Ninasoma is the affirmative, and then when you negate it, it becomes sisomi. In all forms, either in singular or plural, the tense marker na is deleted, and the vowel, Swahili verbs end with a vowel. Most especially, we use a. Almost all Swahili words verbs will end with the vowel a. So these a will change to e when it is negated. For example, ninasoma will change to sisomi. The ma at the end will change to mi, meaning it has changed from affirmative action to a negative statement. Ninasoma for affirmative, and when you negate it, it becomes sisomi. Basi kwa sababu ninajua katika kiwango hiki cha intermediate ni lazima tunafahamu jinsi ya kuunda sentensi za Kiswahili, tunajua kusoma. Kwa hivyo nitatoa mifano katika sentensi, na kama tunavyoona katika jedwali hili, mfano wa kwanza hapa tuna ninasoma Kiswahili. Ninasoma Kiswahili. Ni ishi cha nafsi takuwa sisomi Kiswahili. Ninasoma Kiswahili inakuwa sisomi Kiswahili. Mfano wa pili, katika upande wa kulia unaweza ona tafsiri yake katika Kiingereza. Ninasoma Kiswahili katika Kiingereza ni I am studying or reading or learning Swahili. And when you negate it, it is sisomi Kiswahili, meaning I am not studying Swahili. Right? Now, I am not studying Swahili. When this sentence is put in plural form, it becomes tunasoma Kiswahili. And we said, katika mwisho wa kitenzi, tunasoma, a ya mwisho pale katika hicho kitenzi inabadilika na kuwa i. Kwa hivyo inakuwa hatusomi Kiswahili. Wingi wa tu utakuwa ni ha, kiwakilishi cha nafsi ya pili, wingi. Nafsi ya kwanza, wingi, samahani. Tu kiwakilishi chake katika wingi itakuwa ni ha. Kwa hivyo hatusomi Kiswahili. Tafsiri yake utaipata pale katika upande wa kulia wa jedwali langu pale. Mfano mwingine, ninawapikia wageni chakula kitamu. Ninawapikia wageni chakula kitamu. Tukasema kwamba ni ndicho kiwakilishi cha nafsi ya kwanza, na ndicho kiwakilishi cha wakati, alafu wapikia ndicho kitenzi. Kwa hivyo hiyo a katika mwisho wa kitenzi itabadilika unapoikanusha. Unapoikanusha inakuwa i. Kwa hivyo sentensi katika hali ya kukanusha itakuwa siwapikii wageni chakula kitamu. Siwapikii wageni chakula kitamu. You can see the translation at the right side. When you put this sentence, ninawapikia wageni chakula, in plural, it will be tunawapikia wageni chakula kitamu. Na kama tulivyotangulia kusema awali ni kwamba hii nasisitiza ndiyo kiwakilishi ama kiambishi kinachoashiria wakati ambapo hiki kitendo kinafanyika. Kwa hivyo hii na itadondoshwa, it will be deleted when you are negating. Na will be deleted and a will change to e. So the plural will be ha tuwapikii wageni chakula. Hatuwapikii wageni chakula. Tu inakuwa ha na hii a katika tunawapikia inabadilika na kuwa e. Kwa hivyo when you want to negate this sentence, tunawapikia wageni chakula kitamu, it will be hatuwapikii wageni chakula kitamu. So the secret here is mastering the prefix that is symbolizing or rather the present tense marker, which is na. And then also something else very important to note when you're negating in the present tense is that ni, that is the first person singular, will change to si. Si is the negation form. And most importantly, the tense marker na is deleted and the vowel at the end of the verb a changes to e. And with that, we'll be able to comfortably negate all Swahili sentences in the present tense. Huo ni wakati uliopo. Mambo ya muhimu ya kuhakikisha kwamba umejua ni kwamba kiwakilishi chake, kiambishi cha wakati ni na kwamba kiambishi cha nafsi ni kinabadilika na kuwa si katika hali ya kukanushwa. Vile vile hiki kiwakilishi cha wakati uliopo kinadondoshwa tunapokanusha, na a ya mwisho wa kitenzi inabadilika na kuwa e. I hope we are getting up to this point as we move to the next part. And the next part is going to be the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense. And in we call this wakati uliopo hali timilifu. And this in Swahili is marked with me. There is sort of a dash, hyphen, I call it, meaning you can fix some words or some syllables before me or others after me. And first person singular ni changes to si when you are negating. And in all forms, either in plural or singular, me, the present perfect tense marker changes to ja, and the vowel at the end does not change. Unlike in present tense whereby we find that the a at the end of the verb is changing to e. In this case, in present perfect tense, it does not change. So this will be best explained when we use examples. Kwa hivyo katika jedwali kuna mifano katika sentensi. Mfano wa kwanza pale, nimeosha vyombo vyote. Nimeosha. Meaning it's something that has just happened. It's just like directly translating it from English. Something, an action that has just taken place. Kwa hivyo, nimeosha vyombo vyote itakuwa sijaosha vyombo vyote. Ukikanusha sentensi itakuwa sijaosha vyombo vyote. Ni inabadilika kuwa si, me inabadilika kuwa ja, na a katika mwisho wa kitenzi tunaidumisha. Kwa hivyo inabaki kuwa nimeosha vyombo vyote na sijaosha vyombo vyote. You can see the translation at the right side of the table. The next example is the plural form of this nimeosha vyombo vyote. Kwa hivyo, wingi wake utakuwa tumeosha vyombo vyote, tumeosha vyombo vyote. Itakuwa, ukikanusha itakuwa hatujaosha vyombo vyote, hatujaosha vyombo vyote. Vile vile unatambua kwamba tu inabadilika kuwa ha. Tu ni nafsi ya kwanza wingi, nafsi ya kwanza wingi. Tumeosha vyombo inabadilika na kuwa ha. Ha ndicho kiambishi cha ukanushaji cha tu. Kwa hivyo inakuwa hatujaosha vyombo vyote. Translation is there. We have washed all the utensils, and then you negate it to be, we have not washed all the utensils. And then the other example I'm giving is nimemwona. It's a one-word sentence in Swahili. Nimemwona, meaning I have seen him or her or it for an animal. So in Swahili, you can't know whether, when you just say nimemwona, we cannot tell if it's a male, a female, or an animal. So nimemwona ukikanusha itakuwa sijamwona, sijamwona. Me inabadilika na kuwa ja. Kiwakilishi cha nafsi ya kwanza pale ni kinabadilika na kuwa si. Ukanushaji wa ni unakuwa ni si. Kwa hivyo nimemwona unakanusha na kuwa sijamwona. Simply, I have seen him or her or it for animals, and you negate it to be, I have not seen him, her, or it. And then the plural of nimemwona is tumemwona, tumemwona. The plural form tumemwona is hatujamwona. The first person prefix there to will change to ha. And me, the present perfect tense will change to ja. Kwa hivyo sentensi inakuwa hatujawaona, tumewaona, hatujawaona. That is how you negate the present perfect tense in Kiswahili. So the most important note here when you are negating the past present perfect tense in Swahili, you have to know that the tense marker is me. The tense marker is me to show an action that has just taken place. And then the first person singular pronoun, ni, changes to si. And in all forms, either plural or singular, me will change to ja. And the vowel at the end of the verb will not change. As you can see in those examples, all those verbs, osha, nimeosha, katika mwisho wa kitenzi haibadiliki katika sentensi zote. Pia katika mfano wa nimemwona, katika mwisho wa hicho kitenzi haibadiliki katika hali ya kukanusha. Kwa hivyo ni muhimu kutambua kwamba kiwakilishi cha wakati ama kiambishi cha wakati me kinabadilika na kuwa ja katika ukanushaji. Sheila, sijui I don't know if we have a question at this point.
Sorry to take myself off of mute.
Oh, it's okay.
No questions. I mean, I see the way that the conjugation happens, which is obviously right? From many languages that we have amongst the Resplendence language name. This is very interesting and great to learn. And you can tell people, well, I will let everyone know that Veronica currently has tutoring opportunities, that if you're basic, intermediate or advanced, she's here to help you. And we'll be starting her Swahili class, very shortly here. So anything you want to say to students out there before we go into intermediate tree with Professor Opon?
Actually, there is one more.
Go.
Not even one more. Yeah. We have the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense. So all this is going to be, okay, not really. Yes, the past tense is the last one that we are talking about. The past tense is wakati uliopita in Swahili. Wakati uliopita. Na katika wakati uliopita, tunapotaka kufanya ukanushaji, ni inabadilika kuwa si. Ni hicho kiwakilishi cha nafsi, umoja, kinabadilika na kuwa si. In all forms, katika hali zote, iwe ni ya wingi au umoja, ambayo ni kiambishi cha wakati uliopita katika Kiswahili. Hiki kiambishi kinabadilika na kuwa ku, na vokali iliyopo mwishoni mwa kitenzi haibadiliki. Vokali iliyopo mwishoni mwa kitenzi haibadiliki, inabaki pale pale. Kwa hivyo nilisoma, katika nilisoma ndicho kiambishi cha wakati uliopita, na kukanusha hiki kitenzi kinakuwa sikusoma. Ni inabadilika kuwa si, inabadilika kuwa ku katika hali katika wakati uliopita. Kwa hivyo nilisoma Kiswahili will be sikusoma Kiswahili. You can see that the first person pronoun prefix there, ni, has changed into si in negation, and li has changed into ku. So nilisoma Kiswahili, sentensi inakuwa ni sikusoma Kiswahili, and you can see the translation at the right side. Lakini kwa wakati huu nina hakika kwamba katika hiki kiwango cha intermediate tuna uwezo wa kufahamu aina za sentensi. Kwa hivyo natumai tuko pamoja kufikia hapa. Alafu wingi wake nilisoma Kiswahili inakuwa tulisoma Kiswahili. Samahani, pale kuna makosa kidogo. Tulisoma Kiswahili inakuwa sikusoma Kiswahili. So the most important thing here again to note is that when first person singular prefix ni will change to si if you want to negate either a verb or a statement in the past tense in Swahili. And in all forms of maybe in singular or plural, li, which is the past tense marker, will change to ku. And the vowel at the end of the verb does not change. Ninasoma, ya mwisho pale katika kukanusha inabaki. Inakuwa sikusoma, haibadiliki. Kwa hivyo ukiwa umejua ni mambo gani ya kuzingatia kama nilivyokwisha taja, utaweza kukanusha sentensi zote au vitenzi vyote vya Kiswahili bila utata. So thank you. I hope this helps in negating in Swahili. In this just these tenses that we have discussed. For now, we have majored in those. There are so many other, but in our next lesson, you can join our classes and learn more about negation in Swahili. Shayla.
Good job. All right, so next we have obviously Professor Opong, and he's going to teach us intermediate tree. So once we, Veronica, if you can like, oh, there you go. If we can, Professor Opong, if you want to start getting your slides up or just talk and however you want to do it. I am monitoring the chat room just in case someone has questions or not. This is obviously more advanced than people are used to, but we did want to share that opportunity that we do offer the advanced level learners an opportunity to learn more as well. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now and Professor Opong can take it over.
Thank you very much once again for the opportunity. I hope you can see my slide. Yeah, thank you. So this class is an intermediate Chi lesson, and I'll be doing something very interesting in Chi at the intermediate level. And I will do it very simple so that we all can follow and we can understand. So the topic for today is sentence structure. So basically in language, I'll say I'll be teaching syntax in Chi. So the structure of Chi and also how things are done within the structure. So in this lesson, as I talk about the sentence structure, I'll also be talking about how pronouns and verbs, the relationship between pronouns and verbs, and also the relationship between nouns and also verbs in the same structure. And also we talk about whether the structure is the subject or the object. And also after that, then in the conclusion part of this lecture, I also go into the basic noun phrase of Chi. So in English, what we refer to as the English noun phrase, what happens in the English noun phrase, and also in our Chi, what happens in our Chi noun phrase. So without wasting much time, I'll start with the sentence structure. So Chi, like many other Indo-European languages, so like English, French, and other languages, they have the same structure. So we have the subjects, the verb, and the objects. So what we mean is that if somebody does something to somebody in the basic level, the one who did it will be the subject, will be mentioned first, then the verb comes, then the object who suffered the action of the verb will be the last. So in an example like, the king died yesterday. The king died yesterday. We are talking about the king and the verb, the king dying yesterday. So when you have this structure in English, you have the subject first, which is the king. And also we have the object, the verb, which is died, and we have yesterday, which is the adverb of time, or the noun, if you like, based on the analysis. So Chi also has the same structure. So in Chi, we also mention the subject first, which is oheneno. Then also we mention the verb, which is wu, which wu means died. Then nera means yesterday. So when you go to when you talk about sentence structure, the structure of English is also the same as the structure of Chi. So that's one thing about Indo-European languages. And also the same with Kiswahili. So Kiswahili also has this SVO structure, the subject, the verb, and the object. So that's the sentence structure. But then something happens within the subject, and I'll talk about that in the final part of this class. So I've established that Chi is just like English or any other Indo-European languages. And when we have any basic structure, we have the subject first, the object, the verb comes, then the object, right? So that's the subject. So if you look over here in my example, the king died yesterday, I have ohenenu wunra, ohenenu wunra. So I have the glossing beneath it, the basic glossing. So ohene means chief in Chi, and no is the definite article, like the determiner there in English. So no. Then we have wu is the verb to die. Then since it is past, we have it being lengthened. So in Chi, when there is a past tense, when you have a past tense verb and something follows the verb, it just lengthens the last vowel in the verb. So these are things that we are learning in our basic classes. So in this intermediate, we talk about the sentence structure. So I won't go into how tenses are played out in Chi. So now we are doing the structure now. So the verb is who, and the second who is the tense, which is the past tense. So that's the basic structure. Now I'm moving to, so I want this class to be like very syntactic, like very open. So I'll move also into the relationship between the subject and the verb. So we established that we have the subject, the verb, and the objects. The objects in basic terms, something that follows the verb, or something, any noun phrase found within the VP. In some jurisdictions, anything that follows the verb is the subject. And anything that precedes the verb anything that follows the verb is the object, and anything that precedes the verb is the subject. So I'm using basic terms and not very linguistic. So we move into the relationship between the subject and the verb. So in Twi, we have a specific relationship between the subject and the verb. Like in English, when we have any subject and a verb, it is written the same. They have just one relationship, right? So this relationship I'm talking about, the relationship of syntax. So I will move into the grammar where we have the concord, right? So I'm talking about the relationship of syntax, how they look alike when you have a subject and a verb. So one thing in Twi is that when the subject is a pronoun, when the subject is a pronoun, you write it together with the verb. And when the subject is a noun, you separate it with the verb. So when you're learning Twi, and in one sentence, you see that the verb is attached to something like a vowel or something which means the subject or a pronoun, and you know see that it's being separated. But then when you look at, when you have an actual noun, like let's say the king, so in this example, I have Ohineno. Ohineno is a noun, and it's not a pronoun. So I'll separate it from the verb. But then when the Ohineno becomes a pronoun, that means I have to join the verb with the pronoun. So in my example one, as in the relationship between the subject and the verb, we have pronouns and verbs written together or combined, but nouns and verbs are separated. So pronouns, and now we join our pronouns and their verbs at the subject position, and we separate the nouns and the verbs at the subject position. We also have an object, right? The object also has a relationship between, there's also a relationship between the object and the verb, but then we don't write them together. We only combine a pronoun and a verb when the pronoun is at the beginning of the sentence. It's at the beginning of the sentence. So I demonstrate it here in example one. We have Obaha, Obaha, Obaha. So I have only two words, and in these two words, we have a subject, which is a pronoun, and a verb, and here as the adverb of place. So here, ha, as you see, means here, and is the adverb of place. And in the example, you only see Obaha, Obaha. So I've explained, I've glossed to giving the meaning of every word in Obaha. The O at the beginning is a pronoun. So it's a third person singular pronoun. So it's a he, she. So in Twi, one thing is also that our pronouns are not gender-based. So we have only one pronoun that stands for both genders. So whether somebody is a female or a male, we still have only one pronoun. So unlike English, we'd have said she came here or he came here. But in Twi, we have Obaha, Oba. So O means both genders. And O is a pronoun, so the third person singular pronoun. And we have Ba. Ba means to come. Ba means to come. And like I was explaining with the WUU, the that verb, the A is the past tense. And we have two ways of realizing the past tense. I will only talk about the first one. So when we have a sentence and it's in the past and something follows the verb, you just have to lengthen the last vowel in the verb. So if this sentence is not a past tense, then I will just say Obaha, Obaha, she comes here, Obaha. So Obaha is she comes here, and Obaha is she came here. So they mean the only difference is that we are adding one vowel, we are lengthening the last vowel, and that's one of the ways to realize the past tense in Twi. So it's very simple. When you have something following the verb, you just lengthen the last vowel in the verb. So that said, we have Obaha, and O is the pronoun, And ba is the past tense verb of come, which is came, and ha is here. So look at how it is written. It is written like ob a. So this ob a is actually two words joined together. It's not one word. So it's two words, and the all means the subject pronoun, and the ba is the verb. So that's how written. And look at example 2. Kofi baha, Kofi baha, Kofi baha. So in example 1, I'm using the third person pronoun. In example 2, I'm not using a pronoun. I'm using a noun. So Kofi is a meal born on Friday. Kofi baha, Kofi baha. I can as well say Richard baha, Richard baha, Kingsley baha, Kingsley baha, Mrs. Shayla baha. So it works the same. So when we have a noun and a verb, you separate it. You don't write the noun and the verb like this. Kofi baha, you don't write it like that. We separate this. So this is a relationship between the pronoun, subject, and the verb, and also the noun, subject, and the verb. The noun, subject, and the verb. So look at example 3. So I'm saying that we combine our pronouns and our verbs, but only at the beginning of the sentence, when the pronoun begins the sentence. When you look at example 3, we have a pronoun in there, but it's not combined with a verb because the pronoun is not the subject. By that I mean that it doesn't begin the sentence. The pronoun here is the object. So in 3, I have abuano kunu. Abuano kunu. And abua means animal. Abua means animal. Abua means animal. Then we have no is the definite. So the English translation will be the animal killed. It could be her or him or it. All these pronouns, they all can be used. They don't stand for any of them. So it depends on what you mean. So abuano kuno. We have a pronoun here, and we are saying that we join our pronouns and our verbs. But here we don't write it like this way. Abuano kuno. Now, we not join this pronoun. We only join the pronoun with the verb when the pronoun begins. So look at example 4.
Professor, I have a quick question. Is it the animal killer or the animal killed? With a D?
Killed. The verb killed.
Make sure.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the verb. Thank you very much. So the animal killed her or him or it. Yeah, the animal killed her. So kun is to kill in Chi. Kun is to kill. So if you are killing anything, it means you are kunning that thing in Chi. Kun adequate means you are killing that thing. That's Chi. So look at example 4. So in 4, I have the same thing, but then now the subject abuano has been taken off and has been replaced by the third person singular pronoun. So okuno, okuno. So okuno, I won't write it this way. But if it's a noun, I'll write it like in 3, abuano kuno. Or I can use anything like, let's say, kofi kuno, right? But still, I will not join the kofi and the kun together. So this is the structure of Chi, the structure, the relationship between the subject and the verb. So in 4, we join the pronoun, which is the subject, and the verb. So in reading Chi, this also guides you to know how to read it. Because when you look at one, the obaha. If you read it as a sentence, it is she came here. But if you don't know that obaha means she came, you will translate it as girl. So if you don't know the syntax, you translate this as girl. Because girl in Chi means oba. So this is one word, oba. But then when you have a sentence, Chi was telling you that there's a pronoun and a verb that is combined. So when you look that this is a sentence, then it means that you have to interpret it as the pronoun and the verb came, right? But because if you want to interpret this as girl, there is no way you say obaha, girl here. It's not accurate, right? So this is a sentence and we have to interpret it as a sentence. So that's why we teach the syntax of Chi to let you know that whenever you have a pronoun and also a verb at the subject position, if you don't understand subject, whenever you have a pronoun and a verb at the initial position of a sentence, you combine the pronoun and the verb. And also, whenever you have a noun and a verb at initial position of a sentence, you separate the noun from the verb, just like we do in English, right? Okay, so I'll move on to the last part of this class. So it's an intermediate, and I take it that when you join my beginner class, you know a lot of things like the meaning of abua, kun, and all these kind of things before we get to this class. So intermediate, we deal with the language and things that you need to know at some level. How to read well, how to write well. That is our intermediate class. So now I'll go to my area of expertise, like the noun phrase. So we talk about the three noun phrase. So the noun phrase is just like a subject. So when in English, I write the king is a noun phrase. When I also write the red bag is a noun phrase. The tall shirt or the tall blue bag or the tall blue black. So these are noun phrases, right? So the subject is also termed as the noun phrase, right? So when you have a structure like this, the tall blue bag, the red bag, the king, we refer to it as the noun phrase. And she has a different structure compared to how English also use it. So she, in our definition of the noun phrase, or I mean, in our explanation of the noun for how we conceptualize the noun phrase. Okay, let's look at this example. So the king, the red bag, the tall bag. The head word in this sentence, in these three sentences, is the last word. So we have king, bag, and bag, right? So the head word means that the most important elements in the structure. So the structure, the tall blue bag, is referring to a certain bag, right? So you can do away with all with the blue and tall and still have bag, and it can still also mean the subject, right? So that's what we mean by this. But when you have this structure, like the tall blue bag, or like the one I've given in this example, in English they translate the tall black child. So I've said the tall black child. That's the example I'm using to explain the noun phrase, the structure of the noun phrase. In Twi, if you want to refer to something like this, and you don't know the structure, like at the intermediate level, and you know the lexical items in there. So you know the meaning of there in Twi, which is no. You know the meaning of tall in Twi, which is tintin. You know the meaning of black in Twi, which is tuntum. You know the meaning of child in Twi, which is abofra, right? You might interpret it as how you say it in English, right? So English will say the top, so no, so let me give the English translation. So you have no, tintin, tuntum, abofra. So this is what happens if you don't know the structure of Twi and P, and by you've done the beginner class and you have the vocabulary and you know the meaning of the, tall, black, and child, and you want to construct a sentence or you want to refer to a certain child who is black and tall, you might say no tintin tuntum abofra, because you'll be using the English paradigm, the English structure. But no, we say, hey, we don't say that. If you are referring to something like the noun phrase or any element in the noun phrase, you mention the most important element first. So in Twi, the child will begin. So English saying the child, the tall black child, Twi will rather be saying child, black, tall, day, right? So we conceptualize the most important elements first, then we mention the other modifiers. So aside from the child and abofra, all other things in the elements, they are not really important. They are not needed in the semantics, right? In the structure, in the syntax, sorry. So like I've said, in the noun phrase of Twi, we have the head word coming first. So people who know some form of language will say that Twi is head initial and English is head final with regard to the noun phrase. Head initial means that when you have a phrase like the tall black child, in English, the head word, which is the child, will be the last word mentioning the phrase. So we say the head is the final element. But in Twi, when you have the tall black child, you mention the child first, which is abofra. So the most important element comes first. So this is also an intermediate lesson, and as you know, you have to know the beginnings to know the vocabulary, how to build up on the vocabulary, how to use them in sentences, and also how to know the structure and how things are done. So today we've talked about the sentence structure in Twi, and we have shown that English, Twi, just like English, is a subject verb object structure. So when you have a sentence, the initiator will come first, then the verb comes, then the patient comes. So Kofi killed Amma, or Kofi saw Amma. Kofi becomes the subject, saw is the verb, then Amma is the object. So if you bring it to English, into Twi, you say Amma hum Kofi, the same structure. Amma hum Kofi, or Kofi hum Amma. So Kofi is also the subject, the verb is whom, then the object is Amma. So in terms of the structure at the sentence level, English and Twi is the same. Then we also talked about the relationship between the subject and the verb, the subject and the verb. So we said that when the subject is a pronoun, we write it together with the verb. But when, I gave an example like obaha, where the o means the she or he, and also the ba means the verb. So we combine the pronoun, which is the subject, and also the verb together. So he gave us like a sentence in one, oba. Then I also gave an example like in two, where this I didn't give a pronoun, but I used the noun. And in using the noun, you don't write the noun together with the verb at the subject position. So I gave an example like Kofi baha, which means Kofi came here. So Kofi is a noun and it's separated from the verb. So that's that. And I also gave a point that we only join the pronoun and the verb when the pronoun is at the beginning of the sentence, which is the subject. So in 3, there's a pronoun, but that pronoun is at the end of the sentence. So we don't join that pronoun with the verb kun, right? So I rewrote the example in 3 to take care of, to delete the noun abuano and insert a pronoun she or he. So when I did that, it becomes okunu. But then I have to write it together because we have another pronoun here, which is the o, and it's the third person singular pronoun and the subject. So I write it together with the verb. That's okunu. Then the last part of this class, I talked about the noun phrase. So in the noun phrase, I said that English was a head final language. So head final means that when you have a basic noun phrase, the tall black child is the head of the phrase and is the most important element. And that element will be mentioned last. But in Twi, that same structure, the most important element is mentioned first. So in Twi, our conceptualization is that you mention the most important word first, then you build on it, you try to describe it. So in Twi, we'll say abofra tuntum. So we've mentioned the object, the element that we want to talk about, then we describe it. So tuntum is the colorful black. In Twi, a tintin is also an adjective which means tall, and no is the definite article which means there. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this class. And please join us in our in our beginner classes, and also very soon we'll be enrolling our intermediate classes, so we can move from one section to another. Thank you very much.
So I had some questions.
Okay.
So as you obviously know, we'll be adding in Eve, Guy, and Fanti. So in respect to those, is the structure still the same in terms of the sentence and how negations play in a role? Is it still the same in your opinion?
So in terms of the structure, it's the same. But so the sentence structure at this section, we still have the subject, the verb, and the object, right? Still the subject, the verb, and the object. But the relationship between the subject and the verb is different. It's different. So the Twi is different from Eve. Twi is different from Eve. But when you also come to the noun phrase, it's also the same. Eve will have mentioned the most important elements first. Then they will try to describe it. But English will describe it before they will mention the most important element. So that's African language most. I don't know. I think Swahili will also work like that.
Veronica, does it work like that?
Yeah.
And actually, Veronica, if you can come off mic, I'm gonna ask you a question too. That has honestly, a lot of people are talking about this as well. So once you come off of mute, I'll ask you. But yeah, because I always find that there are some slight differences in how we present language, depending on as well.
Yeah.
So as Professor Okra said, he has a class currently on Saturday. That's a basic class. That will be wrapping up soon. If you have any questions, like if you wanted to maybe see different, beginner classes or any tutoring opportunities or all of the above, essentially. You have questions, what you want to do is email us. So I will put the email in here in the chat, info@resplendencelanguagearts.com. And in about a month or less, we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have the website up and running, which would be really, really, really agile, flexible, and just giving you guys everything you need to have greater respect for our African languages. What else I wanted to say about you, Okra? I think that was it. Now for Veronica, I had one other question for you, because this is like playing every circuit I see. Could you finally put to rest the differences between Kiswahili and Swahili? Because some people, they're like, I want to learn Kiswahili. And then some people say, I want to learn Swahili. Can you please put that to rest and tell us, the audience here, finally, once and for all, what are the differences? Because I think I have in my mind what I think the differences are, but I need to hear from you. Uh-oh, you're on mute. I gotta unmute you. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. I can't.
Yes, it is Kiswahili. That's how it sounds natural, because it's an African language and a Bantu language for that matter. So Ki is making it like home-like. You understand? So when you're saying it in English, you remove the prefix at the beginning, Ki, and it becomes Swahili. It's one and the same thing, but now Kiswahili is the original name for the language.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I get that question so often. It's crazy. And the other one was, and again for you, was the differences. So for example, obviously I speak English and I'm from the United States. Our language is different from, UK. Like for example, UK English, they may say something like fish and chips, right? Which is completely different for us, right? But because I know people from over there, I know what that means. And then we have different colloquialism and different ways we say things just in different states. Like for example, in Maryland, Southern Maryland, you may hear let me put it this way. In Northern Maryland, you will hear like a dog that goes woof woof, like a dog. They don't call it dog, they call it Doug. D-U-G, I kid you not. In Southern Maryland, it is said like normal, like dog. So, and actually this is a question for both Accra and you. In your languages, do you have those colloquialistic differences, or any differences that, they'll say fish and chips, chips is French fries for us and chips is chips for us, or, do you have those differences? And I guess, Veronica, you want to say, and then Okra.
Okay, in Swahili, we have these differences and we call them lahaja in Swahili. We have like different accents depending on geographical locations of speakers. Like in the coast, you will find that in the coastal regions of any country that is speaking Swahili, you will find that the Swahili there is more refined than the areas that are far from the coast. And again, we'll find that there are some vocabularies that we use maybe in Kenya, and the others are used in Tanzania. I'll give an example with a word like ugali and sima. They are just one thing, but now an area, you'll find that in some area they use sima, and in another one they use ugali. But we all know like what the both words mean. You communicate with a person from the other side, they know what actually you mean. And now what brings us together is now that Swahili, there is the standardized Swahili, the standard Swahili that can be used in any area of Swahili-speaking countries. So Swahili is not that much like English, but there are some very small differences.
And for you, Okra, same question?
Yeah, so I think it's just like language. So language is how people use it. So basically, we have some regional differences and also where the language is spoken. So the cultural background and the region and let's just say the geographical location. So the tree that we speak in, let's say the Eastern region, the Ashanti region, or even within the Ashanti region, we have different cultural background. So they have some lexical items that they are speaking their tree. But if you are not with them, you will not know what this lexical item means, right? Yeah, so we have that now across. So I can say something in tree and somebody might not know what I'm referring to. It means that the person understands tree, but then that particular lexical item is not used in his or her geographical item, right? And you also have some colloquialism that we use, like the name for cat. Some people will be saying okra, some will say ejinamwa, right? We have those who will be using both, and those who just stick to ejinamwa and not say okra, right? So these are how like it works, and it's very much prevalent. Like it's a lot in our languages. Yeah, it's a lot.
I think that's in all of our languages. For example, like for English, there's like a lot, but let me just give you two examples, and I'll give you an example in Spanish because I do know a little bit of Spanish. So, for example, tomato, like a tomato, which is the fruit you eat, and then tomato. So same word, just spoken different. Not necessarily colloquialism. It could fall under that depending on where you are regionally. And then there's, things like, oh, this is the worst one, roof, which is ROOF, right? Some people in different areas call it a roof. And we just know distinctively that is what you're trying to say is a roof, right? Okay. But some people will say roof, which is different, right? Same thing if you were in South America. Again, I'm not Spanish, but I know I was taught to how to speak Spanish, not South American Spanish, right? So they have a word that's kind of use that common thread, same word just spoken differently, which is the word for shoes. So in Spanish, we speak with the theta, with the theta. So it's zapatos, shoes. In South America, it's zapatos with right? So those are like, again, the same tomato, roof, rough type thing. And I guess I want to end on that. Do you guys have any like little differences like that where, because you're from the country, the differences, but there are those word differences? Yeah,
so let's say a verb like came, right? So some tree speakers will say buy, right? Buy or buy. Then some will say or buy. So buy and buy. So when you see those speaking by, it means that they are from the hills, the trees spoken on the hills. So they will say by. Then those in the forest or the lands will say by. So by and by. By and by. Yeah. So D and D. We have those steps like that. Yeah.
What about you, Veronica?
It's just the same. I'm giving an example with the Swahili word. When you want to say come, you say njoo, or you can say kuja. And now it depends with where you're based. Again, in the coastal region, you'll find that they use njoo, which is more polite, and kuja is used maybe in the other regions apart from, because that is where it is mostly used. So it only depends with where you are, the culture, yes, all these come into play and determines how you express yourself.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to mention those last kind of key things about tree and also Swahili and English and so forth. So yeah, thank you viewers for tuning in. Teachers, instructors, do you guys have any final say so or puts or anything?
So I would like to thank you very much everybody for watching us, and I hope you enjoyed our Swahili and also our tree classes. and we have more in stuff for you. So you can look into our website or try to send us an email. Then we will talk from there. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, you guys want to count to 1, 2, 3 and do bye in all of our languages, which me, if it's just English, I can do Spanish, but whatever. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Bye.